over the world, a precious metal known as gold can be found. For thousands of years, many ancient civilizations have been chasing the precious metal, either for wealth and fortune, or as a sign of social status, or for religious beliefs. Many different methods have been implemented in the discovery of the metal, most commonly the humble gold pan. It is unclear who invented the gold pan, however it can be traced back to the ancient Mayan civilization with the introduction of the botella pan, usually some 15 to 24 inches in diameter and 6 to 8 inches in depth. Early models were carved of wood and used to pan for gold, diamonds, emeralds and other precious minerals. It was only until 1848, however, when Isaac Humphrey introduced gold panning at Coloma, California. Gold panning remains a cheap and effective way to recover gold and is enjoyed by thousands worldwide and is still used in professional mining claims today. While gold panning is a great way to recover microscopic gold, it has its limitations. You need clean water to effectively recover the gold, meaning most parts of the gold fields can only be worked in the wetter months, with of course the exception of dry panning or blowing. Some even constructed huge dams or water races to help aid in mining operations just a bit longer. Those were the days when miners only had pick and shovel and a bit of a hunch of where the gold might be. For days they laboured to get down to the pay dirt, oftentimes without any returns. If only there was a way where they could see into the ground without having to even pick up a shovel. It was in 1881 when Alexander Graham Bell invented the first metal detector. President James Garfield was shot by an assassin, and Bell, a Scottish-born inventor, scientist and engineer who was even credited with inventing the first practical telephone, got to work inventing a crude metal detector in an unsuccessful attempt to locate the fatal slug. This device he named the induction balance. Later, in 1925, Gerhard Fischke invented a portable metal detector. Fischke was behind the first large-scale production of metal detectors. These detectors were very primitive, but they paved the way for modern prospecting. As the years rolled on and metal detectors were tweaked, then improved, they were often aimed at different purposes, such as landmine detection, and even used to locate typewriters in World War II, because making copies of literature, such as the Bible and other literature, was considered dangerous at the time. Finally, in the 1970s, in his spare time, Charles Garrett designed the first modern metal detector because he had an interest of treasure hunting. Many other breakthroughs occurred by other like-minded people and has resulted in the formations of large brands today. Legend goes that in 1978, a man named Bob Sargent came across from Western Australia and into Victoria, holding with him a bag of gold and a Garrett's detector. In those days, nuggets were easy pickings with a detector. You could probably even trip over them if you're lucky enough. A lot of gold has been found in the past 40 odd years with detectors, and it's not like fishing. Fish can repopulate and grow bigger. You can often go to the same spot and catch fish there again. However, gold detecting it's different. Once the gold has been taken, it doesn't reproduce. The fact that a lot of the easy gold is gone sounds disheartening. But the fact is, gold is still being found by many today. They are using the right techniques and of course patience. Just a quick note, the purpose of this video, it isn't to compare different brands and models of detectors. True, different machines do better in different gold fields and on different gold types. But this video is aimed at the mental and the technique side of metal detecting. Some tips might not apply to your machine, but they can often be carried over to others. You would have heard it said before, but I'll say it again. Swing your coil low and slow. But what does that actually mean? Obviously, the lower your coil is to the ground, the greater the depth your machine will achieve. So don't be scared to drag that coil on the ground. After all, every coil it should have a skid plate on it to protect the coil itself. So don't be afraid, just scrub on the ground and get in there nice and slow. When you swing slow, this allows your machine time to process any target noise there may be into your headphones or your speaker. Any slight change in the threshold, it could mean there's a small piece of gold there, or even a larger piece of gold at depth. Depending on your detector type, you could have a threshold setting. This should be set at the lowest but continual sound. This is essential for hearing any minute changes in the threshold, which could be a bit of gold. Having headphones on also helps tremendously, as this blocks out all other outside noises, such as wind or the sound of your coil scraping on the ground or leaves. Overlap your coil swings. This will help you to get the best possible depth and coverage at all times. There are different coil types, and each of them behave differently as regards to how your machine penetrates the ground. There are mono loop and a double D loop, and also the elliptical coil, so it's important to know which coil you are using. There is a mental technique called paddocking. Now imagine you are vacuuming your house. Every inch needs to be touched by that vacuum head in order to suck up every little piece of dust. So when you're out in the bush, make a mental note of a square roughly, and cover that square thoroughly as you move your detector coil around it. Then, when you finish that square, make another paddock, so you know for sure that you have not missed any possible targets. You need to have confidence with your machine. Do air tests with different settings and coils so you know what your machine sounds like and what it can pick up at different depths. Then, stay in those settings when you're in the field. Now, I've done it myself. I've been out in the field and I kept changing the settings because I wasn't confident. I didn't know if those settings were right or not. But doing air tests will give you that confidence that your machine will pick up that gold, even if it's on ground you've never swung over before. Flog ground is a misconception. With so many different detectors and coils out there, the variables are so high. The weather is a variable, your technique is a variable, even your mood is a variable. I've found that if I'm out detecting and I'm in a bad mood, I don't seem to find as much gold as I normally would. So don't assume that previous detectorists that have been on that ground in the past know what they are doing either. They could most likely have been using a different setup and are in a different frame of mind. At the end of the day, most of us aren't prospecting for a living. We do it as a hobby, a way to escape reality and enjoy the great outdoors. Many times I've gone out bush with the idea of metal detecting, but I've just enjoyed the drive, the scenery, and the peace that I find out there instead. So really, isn't that what we were all chasing? No doubt the old timers would have found themselves pondering that same question.